So I've been
So
playing.
this Jew, this black guy, and this gay person walk into a bar. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
It's your fucking Ross Griffith has a job. Sack him. Sack him.
Oh man, I could not resist. I bet you like Sam will make that like the intro as well.
Absolutely. We'll work it into like a jingle. It'll be like a sort of a voiceover bit halfway through the jingle, you know?
For those
Just
of you
never
listening,
go into politics, Ross. I don't think you're made for it. I don't think you've got there. I don't think you've got the nerve.
Although, if you look at the current landscape, maybe I'm perfect for it. You know?
They do.
No,
The
let
general
me
rule
be
does
clear.
seem to
I am
be-
neither anti-Semitic, racist, or homophobic. It was a funny thing because Dave said we're about to go live, so keep your job. And I thought it'd be funny to make it sound as though I was making a horrible joke. And I wasn't. In a way I was, but in a much larger sense, I wasn't.
And they call me the joke killer. Thank you for tuning in to this public service announcement from Ross about how he isn't a racist. Only non-racists
joke
feel the need to go on YouTube and declare that they aren't a racist. So I'm glad we've got that on the record, Ross. I'm certain that that came across
my apology video
as very believable. But more importantly, I've been playing Dead Rising.
Dead Rising. Oh God, yeah.
Is that a bad oh god or a good oh god? Or...
A bad oh god. That's
really?
a game. Yeah, I mean, Dave, you and I sort of bonded over zombie games. Call of Duty World at War. Nazi zombies. But Dead Rising was just a game I could never get on board with. And you think it'd be great.
I haven't played the first one in a million years. I bought the second one on. No, I'm telling you a lie. I actually bought the remake of the second one. On Xbox Store for £4.70 or something like that. Total bargain. Great game. Very fun. So that basically they remade. It's called Off the Record, and they remade the second game. Added an extra area and basically rewrote the story to star the protagonist from the first game rather than the dickhead that you played in the second game.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's just really fun. You go around like swinging chainsaws and killing zombies. It's like the mechanics are very basic. But we was talking to Sam about it, and I'd forgotten that the whole game takes place. Like can't speak to the first one because again I haven't played it in 7,000 years. But the whole game takes place over 72 hours. And like so, different story, investigations have to happen at certain times. But at any time you can start a new game. Plus, if you die, if you're too low level, and basically you keep your XP and cash, and you restart the game at the beginning of the 3 days. It's dead cool. It's not exactly like the most.
It's not the thinking man's game, no.
No, but it's fun. It's interesting. The story's quite engaging. Like. You just go around like hitting zombies with baseball bats. It's very therapeutic. I can really recommend that.
Oh, absolutely. And like that's why I'm so confused as to why I was never on board with it. I think because when it came out, it was only on Xbox, and I was a PS fanboy. And
you missed Left 4 Dead then as well?
I did. Yep.
Another great zombie game, which you won't have ever played because it was only on Xbox.
Exclusives
hurt gaming, don't they?
Yes, but like they're console sellers, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Like that's why like PS4 did so well last generation because of all the exclusives. It didn't help that Xbox or Microsoft was selling all their studios or closing them down.
Hey! They must have made 3 or 4 really poor Halo games in that era. They sold Bungie as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like, Destiny, that's a tiny little game. No one's going to play that. That's not going to make any money. Let's sell that studio. Just get
Master Chief passed around like a carton of cigarettes in a prison. He was pimped out.
Is there one thing Microsoft only had Halo for like the longest time? Was there like big?
Yeah.
Exclusive.
Well, they also had Forza, depending on who you're talking to.
But Forza, yeah, you're right. Forza is Xbox.
Mm-hmm. And then they had that game. What was it? It was starring the dude Iceman from X-Men, Quantum Break or something, or Quantum. Yeah, Quantum Break. Infamous.
No, that was PlayStation. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know the dude who plays Iceman in X-Men.
Yeah, no, I know. I recognise the English words which you're saying. I don't know
Right,
what
all
game
right.
you're
So
talking
what?
about.
So what's the confusion then? But it was a game that Xbox made. It was actually quite like it was new what they were doing, but it was just so fucking short. It was like I think it was like 2-3 hours, but it was like it's all about I think it was time travel or some bullshit. And you could do stuff. I don't know. I had a PlayStation, so but it seemed intriguing, and I had like a real world celebrity. It was back when that sort of thing was new, not like nowadays we have Keanu Reeves and Cyberpunk and
Oh yeah, you can get anyone to sit on their toilet and send you some recorded lines.
big. I mean, what's the name of the dude who plays Gus Fring in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul?
Ross, why would I know his name? I know who you mean.
That's true.
Why
you
would I
never
know
remember the black characters' names, do you?
No, he played a character in one season of Breaking Bad. Why would I know his name off the top of my head? I've not seen him in anything else.
He was like one of the main guys. Anyway, the guy who plays him.
Anyway,
the guy who plays him was also he was like the main bad guy in Far Cry 6, 7,
right,
10.
Who could know, Ross?
The latest one
could keep track of the Far Cry
franchise? Exactly. I'm trying to think of other celebrities now who were in games.
Well, obviously, because I'm old as shit, I've been replaying Morrowind as well. We won't go along on that because I know that you.
Patrick Stewart.
Well, Patrick Stewart and Sean Bean are both in Oblivion, the sequel.
Oblivion. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget Matthew Perry in New Vegas.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's like an odd choice for
The acting is flat as I'll say a pancake man because there is no emotion in that guy. I think that's when he was at high on his drug problem.
Maybe he needs the cocaine to act. It's hard to tell. Like it's either one or the other. Too much cocaine or not enough cocaine.
He needs some sort of pick me up because he was boring.
Maybe like just a coffee before recording or something. It doesn't need to be cocaine.
Liam Neeson in Fallout 3.
Oh yeah.
I thought you'd be much more excited at that than I thought you'd at least match half of my level.
Massive piece of shit. It's hard to be excited.
Is he a massive piece of shit?
Yeah, he went on this whole. We've talked about it on the podcast before, but we potentially weren't there. He was doing an interview and just like without even. This was quite a while ago, actually. But like he hasn't been cancelled. He's still in things, but. Basically, without really being prompted by the person asking the question, he obviously wanted to talk about it. He started going into this whole monologue about how a friend of his was assaulted by a black person.
Yeah, you're right.
And so he talked quite at length in this interview about fantasizing about just going out and finding not even the person who committed this crime, a black person and killing them, beating them to death. And you're like, how are you not cancelled, you racist piece of shit?
Also, I'm not sure how accurate this story is because in my school of like 800 people, there was one black person. And so
mine too, Ross, because I'm from the north of England, which is like Ireland.
Yeah, well, so and then in Northern Ireland, you know what I mean? In the Troubles, mind you, it's not exactly a Shangri-La to fucking live in.
The promised land, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure I buy it. I don't
know. Liam Neeson's been in Hollywood for decades now, Ross. Like, what are you saying? You don't buy he's a racist because you don't think he's ever met a black person?
No, I don't buy that story took place.
Oh, well, I'll find some evidence, but it's fairly well documented.
I believe he said those things. I'm saying I don't believe him. I don't believe...
Why would a person say that? If that isn't what they believed, I can't fathom.
Why would they say
the reasons why someone would say that? A celebrity, a famous person.
I assume he thought he was like trying to portray himself as this gruff, sort of grizzled, a man with faults, but trying to do good by his friend. I'm guessing.
No, the black thing is kind of like. You make it a black man. That's not you being a hero. That's you fucking targeting races. That's not good, Ross. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, let me be clear. I'm not defending it. I'm not saying, hey, whoa,
defender of Liam Neeson, famous racist.
It was a different time. It was Northern Ireland.
It was a different time. It was 7 years ago.
Yeah, trust me, we were too busy killing each other, because our eyes were too far apart. Fun fact, people actually thought if you're a Catholic or Protestant, that would impact the distance between your two eyes.
The trouble is
fucking idiots.
Insane.
Morons. Absolutely.
It's just
morons.
violence, though, isn't it, Ross? Like, it's like, when there's two sides in anything, and Ireland is especially particularly, bad. But you're gonna get idiots saying like, "Oh, I can tell you're a Catholic because of Catholics are all short, or Catholics are all tall, or Catholics all have blue eyes, or whatever."
Oh well, I'll tell you what. Have a little quiz. If you leave the bottle of your fairy liquid open at the sink, are you Catholic or Protestant?
Protestant.
Correct. Why?
Yes. Because you told me the story before.
Ah, you dirty little cheating prod.
I mean, you call them as you see them. Aren't you also a Protestant, Ross? Just for the record.
I am, but I'm a weird prod. But my mum's Catholic. It's a weird setup.
That counts. It's fine.
It's a thing. Apparently.
Do you have like a? I don't want to make this the sort of the Troubles podcast. Like your mum is your mum still?
Because I am not the guy to ask, Dave. I am not that guy.
Like,
I can only profess to be like, oh, Ross is quite knowledgeable because you guys know nothing. If you brought on any other person from Ireland, Northern Ireland, you'd make a fucking show of me. So let's not make it the Troubles podcast. But go on with your question.
No. This isn't a Troubles related question. This is so I've always found Catholics very strange and mysterious because for historical reasons you can Google, listener. There are a lot of Catholics in England. Well, yeah, seemingly. Yeah. But like, it's the Jesus on the cross, like the really cut Jesus on the cross that Catholics have that we don't seem to have in the Protestant church. Like, and that just seems to be a really like weird line of like, does Jesus not work out in the Protestant Bible, or I don't understand.
Yeah, Jesus doesn't make it.
Like Jesus, he just doesn't do ad day.
It's like George R. R. Martin. I'm going to kill off Jesus. Then
bring him back.
Ayo!
Did George R. R. Martin write the Bible? It's almost like it's a made-up story, Ross. Made to can control
almost.
But
yeah, I actually remember. It's funny you mention that because I remember like when we used to go to my Aunt Bridge's house, and you'd go in through the hall. You're in the kitchen. Boom. There's a big old picture of Jesus on the wall. He's holding his hands up, like he's doing jazz hands. And there it is.
Christ, yep.
And I never noticed it before until you said it. But yeah, in the because Bridge was my mum's sister, so on the Catholic side of it, they really go for like the bloody stigmata, holding the hands. Yeah. Jesus wasn't Jesus done badly, guys? Come on, let's give it up for Jesus.
But I think it's Catholics that they just need. So something about the Catholic faith where they just need to feel fucking horrible all the time about what not things happening now, what things they're doing, but Jesus specifically.
Yeah, sing depressing songs, feel guilty, make others feel guilty. Yeah, it's and then in complete contrast, look at my dad's side of the family, and I don't even think I've ever, like, outside of a wedding or a funeral, I don't think I've ever seen my dad in the church.
That's certainly my experience of the Protestant religion, because our family's Protestant, and outside of a wedding, we used to go to church parade once a month when we were in the Scouts because you had to, because it was in a church. But yeah, outside of that,
I actually have a funny story about this. I might have told this one before in the podcast, but growing up, like when we were like 18, 19, like family members, it was that time where like a slightly like older half generation than us, we're starting to get married off and all. And then it was basically like a running thing in our family. We'd be like, cousin Dermot is getting married. Oh, yeah. And we'd all go, is it a Catholic service or a Protestant service? And then, no, there's a right and a wrong answer here.
Can I guess what the difference is? The Catholic service about 8 times as long.
Yes. So then, like, when they go, it's a Protestant service. Yeah, get in.
Yes, we're up for 2 o'clock.
In 10 minutes, do you, I do. All right, man and wife. All right, folks, let's get out of here. You know what I mean? Done. In and done. Brilliant. and then it's the Catholic service, and then this is a completely shameful and completely stereotypical story I'm about to tell you. But then if it was a Catholic service, me and the brothers and a few other family members, we'd go in and we'd intentionally sit at the back. And basically what we do is like 5 minutes into the service starts, we'd all just like slip out one by one. And like we'd like have our watches, right, we've got 50 minutes. And we go to the nearest pub, drink, and then like slip in 50 minutes later for the end. Then you're walking out, shaking their hand, kissing the bride. Geez, that was a lovely service. Geez, that was beautiful. Oh, fuck. Oh, congratulations to you both. And we're all half cut by this point because we're like trying to rush the drinks in. Brilliant.
This sounds like a scheme that could go badly wrong. Like, just one nosy aunt or grandmother notices and she's like...
Oh, my brother Jeffrey missed my brother Mark's wedding because he was hanging out of his arse.
Missed most of the last 10 years.
Oh, man. The stories I could tell on this podcast about Jeffrey.
You shouldn't, though, for legal purposes.
Absolutely not. That's incriminating, that.
Yeah, that could use as evidence against him in a court of law.
Yeah. Snitches get stitches, Dave.
Exactly. So getting away from the Catholic Church, as usual. Why is it always the Catholic Church with us? What have you been playing?
Well, I'm still playing Sifu. Basically, I've gotten so much better at that now, and it's gotten to the point now where like I think I'm like 5 trophies away from 100%ing this thing, and then I've just realized, I've bought the PS4 and the PS5 version, so I'm going to stick it on the PS5 then after I'm done on the PS4 and do it all again. It's such a good game. It's such an amazing game.
I'm confused at why you've been playing it on the PS4 if you've got it on the PS5, which you also have.
Because the PS5 is out in the home office here, and there's evenings where I can't be arsed going out to the bottom of the garden to play. Plus, in this summer heat, I'm sweating my dish off right now. It's so warm, but I've got commitment to the podcast.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then like on the PS4, you know what I mean? As soon as I'm done watching TV or something, I just stick it. I get like 30 minutes worth of kung fu in. Done. I've also been playing Skyrim for the fucking hell. Oh. I don't think there's a number high enough to say like I'm playing Skyrim for the bajillion gillionth time.
I think this is where we differ, Ross, where maybe like I came to that series so much earlier than you that if I'm replaying an Elder Scrolls game, I'm replaying Morrowind from 2003 like endlessly, like ad infinitum. Whereas Skyrim, I'm like, I play 10 minutes of it and then I'm bored as shit. Because all it is the same fucking like combat cutscenes and that's it.
It's amazing though. I think, Dave, when it comes to like the Bethesda games, Elder Scrolls and Fallout, I feel like I'm a generation behind you. The first one I played was Fallout 3, and we both loved that. And then, but you were always playing Morrowind, and I know you played the one before that as well. But Morrowind, you were like, "Oh, you should try it." And I put it on. I was like, "This is fucking shite. I cannot."
No.
Because I played Fallout 3 first, and I was like,
Morrowind is the first 3D first person role playing game. It's the Elder Scrolls 3, but the first 2 are kind of like the much older top down sort of PC games. 3 is 2003. I think Oblivion's 2006. And then
Oblivion. Yes, Oblivion.
Yeah, and Oblivion is kind of like Morrowind looks like shit and works like shit, I should say. The combat system is we could have a whole podcast on that. But Oblivion, for some reason, they kind of like updated a lot of the. It's built on a new engine, and it's the potato engine, where everyone in the game looks like a potato, and like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's kind of like that's. You imagine a potato, that's the amount of like detail and rendering they could put on the head, and every character in the game looks like that, and it's really distracting, and it makes it seem 10 years older than it is.
But regardless, so I played
Oblivion.
Forgot the name already.
I
played Fallout 3, and I was like, God, this is terrible, this is garbage. And then played then Skyrim came out, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But then there's another friend of mine, Ollie, who I feel like he's a generation behind me now because he played Fallout 4 and he was like, oh my God, it's amazing. I'm like, Fallout 3 is better.
He can't play 3.
and then he tried 3. He's like, Oh, 3 ain't
Oh,
great.
you can't modify any of your weapons, and this combat system's really poor outside of that.
My player character is silent. What gives?
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it, though, that, like, obviously, I put in the description for this that this is how, like, what was it? We talk about things that we wish how they still were, how they were, and how we're aging really, really quickly all of a sudden. It's, oh, things aren't right. They used to be better. But it's
Back in
just
my
like,
day, sonny.
like you said, I think we're in our 30s now, and generally, I mean, you're maybe a slight exception, but generally, if I'm playing a video game, it's to like switch off. I don't want to like have a fucking argument with a 13-year-old on like an MMO or anything like that. I'm too no energy for that.
So for me now, I think it differs by, you're right, generation, but also like sort of your life situation. Because I'm a dad now, I can't afford to light the candles, light some incense and get in for a night of gaming. I get in for, I can play this for 20 or 30 minutes, and then it's, Daddy, okay, I'm coming. Turn that off. Never have joy again. Never experience joy. Life is endless. And then there's nothing.
It sounds absolutely horrible. The commitments are like that, though.
Oh, wait till you have kids, Dave.
But I suppose it just changes the sort of games that you play.
Exactly. Now, this is a perfect example, because my colleagues at work are raving about, and rightly so, I'll say, Elden Ring. Loving this game. It's like, to hear them tell it, it's completely revolutionized open world sort of gaming. It's right, Dark Souls. What's that? Oh, it was right the first time. Okay.
Revolutionized.
Moving swiftly along. It's revolutionized.
English is Ross's second language, though.
Second language, dickhead.
That's what I said.
It mixes. Oh, thank you. It mixes like, Dark Souls gaming with like an open world style of an RPG. And I tried it, and I played it for maybe 30 minutes, and I was like, I am done with this forever. And it's not to say the game is bad.
Or is it like single player, or is it cloud based?
It's like Bloodborne. You know what I mean? You can summon people in. It's like that. Yeah. But it's like Dave, you'd love it. Proper gamer experience.
Is it hard?
Oh, it's fucking nails.
I want to talk about Bloodborne in a minute, but I'm interested. But then also, I don't want to pay for it, so it's.
Yeah, it's also it's nails. But again, I thought Sifu was nails, but because of the way Sifu is like a roguelite, you know what I mean? You can play for 20-30 minutes and you get a little bit of progression. So the next time you try, you'll do a little bit better if you keep your wits about you.
Yeah.
And Elden Ring's similar, except that it's open world and there's quests that you can do, but there's no quest log. And where I was going with this is, it's people are raving about this, but it's what you're looking for in a game now. Now, I'm sure when Dylan's older and he wants nothing to do with me anymore, where I'm an uncool
5-6 years.
Fingers crossed. And I'm an old, curmudgeon-y ogre. You know what I mean? I'll be able to get back into those games. Curmudgeon-y ogre. I'll be able to get back into those games. Like Destiny 2. Oh, the amount of fun we had in Destiny 2. Or Battlefield. Remember Battlefield? Remember joy and happiness and light and
we
color?
Even, dare I say it, like before obviously it became, I wouldn't say before it became the global phenomenon it is now. We played Fortnite and enjoyed it. We weren't good at it.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it.
That was an ask where we played it and it wasn't like, oh, this is horrible and not for me. This is just like something we're not very good at.
Yes. But again, there's that multiplayer aspect. Like games like that now, I think the best one is Call of Duty's version. What's it called? Vanguard? Some bullshit.
I've not played.
It's pretty good. I like it. I think it's because I'm familiar with the COD style,
Yeah.
First person shooter, pick up your guns, shooty, bang, bang.
It's very simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about, obviously we've gone 25 minutes not talking about it. The initial idea I wanted to talk about tonight was I'm going to talk about games I've never finished. And obviously you finish every game that you play, usually.
I'll tell you a game and you're going to be shocked.
Am I going to be
Witcher 3?
Oh, Ross. Why do you have to hurt me? Why do you have to
right?
Towards me Physical Pain. That was the best game on the last generation, without doubt.
It was incredible, right? And I never finished it. Here's one better for you. I never finished it twice.
Well, no. By never finishing it the first time, Ross, that just means you never finished it. Like,
No, I never finished it twice.
Never finished it again.
Because I bought the game, like, at near full price, I might add. And then, if you remember, I lent it to you. I lent it to you.
I was like, oh, this is great, Ross. Why haven't you played this?
Yeah. And then I was like, I'm sure I bought that game. Where is it? Oh, Dave fucking has it. Dave, can I get this game back, please? And I didn't take it out of the case then for maybe about 4 months after that. And then I booted it up. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And then, but I remember it was it was a werewolf. And the werewolf kept fucking killing me. I was like, fuck this game. I am done. And I'm never picking it up again. And I didn't until I bought it digitally. And then I bought it
Game Pass
digitally
as well, I think, or it was.
Well, I'm not going to play it if I'm not going to get a trophy. And anyway. And then I remember I bought it around May of what year is it? 2021. And I was like, oh, I'll play this. And I was playing it for a bit, off and on, getting my 20 to 30 minutes in. And then we moved. And I never played it again. I moved in September and I've never touched it. So that's what I mean when I say I haven't finished it twice.
Because, like, it's such a phenomenally well-written game, I think.
Yeah.
And it is demanding. It does need lots of your time. And because of the difficulty of the game, unless you play it on casual, the game kind of asks you to, like, pay attention to learn how to do the combat.
Yes, yeah.
Like, it's not massively, and it's not like it's no Bloodborne or anything, but you kind of do have to work at, using all of the things at your disposal. Like
your oils and your potions. Yes.
And you're like, you have to do that throughout the whole game. Otherwise, you'll just get the shit kicked out of you. And you'll still get the shit kicked out of you sometimes. And the game also, the way that the XP works, it kind of like also encourages you to do maybe quite a lot more of the sort of side quests than maybe like Skyrim would, for instance. Because otherwise you just can't do some of the main quests because you get the shit kicked out of you. But I think that, like, narratively, I think it's so well written. And it had 2 excellent DLCs as well. That were like kind of on a par with the base game as well.
Oh, it was like Blood and Wine or something, wasn't it?
Blood and Wine was really good. That was the shorter one. Oh no, Blood and Wine was the longer one. What's the other one called? Anyway, doesn't matter. One of them is like you go to basically medieval France and you're hunting a vampire. Dead fun. Awesome. And the other one's about this guy who's cursed, and it's basically Point Break, except you join this guy and his gang, and then anyway, it's the whole thing. It's great. There's a better way to explain it than that, but it's really cool because you like this guy, whose gang you join, who's the bad guy who you're trying to get. He's really likable, and like it's a whole. Anyway, it's a very, very fun game. I never finished Bloodborne, obviously.
Yep,
because it was fucking hard.
It's so hard. Like I get the want and need for a challenge, and I get, like, in the last generation especially, games have become extremely handholdy, and that's because of, like, they want to sell as many games as possible. They don't want to try and do something new. They want to focus test everything, make everything achievable, and make it bright lights and nice noises so you get that dopamine release in your brain. I get it. Then I also get, this is why people want to be punished, because they want to feel like they achieved something. Surely there is a middle point here, though. Surely there's one where you go, we'll make it a bit harder for you, but you're still going to feel good about yourself. Like, you're not going to feel great shame and sadness anytime you boot up Elden Ring or Dark Souls or Bloodborne.
Well, I think, though, that most people kind of like fall on one end or the other, and I myself do. I either want to play a game like Stardew Valley, where ultimately there's no challenge whatsoever, and I'm just doing things, and that's like the game like Dead Rising is a great example of a game like that, where there's not that much of a challenge. You're just kind of going around doing things. Or I want something like Bloodborne, where it is hard, and you do throw your controller through the TV, and you have to buy a new TV and your controller. It's a whole thing. But like there's this there's better sense of achievement when you actually manage to do it. I remember that. I didn't get that far in Bloodborne, but I think I got maybe like halfway through the game. I beat quite a lot of the bosses, and some of them were like fucking like 3 weeks, and I'm having to be like, and you can get like drop-in help. You can go. People can search for games and just sort of drop in and help you with boss fights.
It's a great idea,
and that helped loads. Not just because they can obviously help you kill the boss, but like you're watching these people who are obviously really good at the game. And you're like, so that's how you do that. And that seems like a really good idea. I should do that.
Get your pen
at
and
the same
pencil and
time
pad
of
out.
like, at the same time, of Bloodborne being a game that I really like the look of. The reason I never finished it, obviously, because I'm shit. Also because my PS4 died, and I think I had it on PS4. So and now I've got an Xbox. It's a PlayStation exclusive, isn't it?
Which is
Bloodborne, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Dark Souls is on Xbox, but Bloodborne I think is.
Yeah, Elden Ring I think you can get on Xbox.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that because I'm intrigued by that. Here's where I'm gonna.
Hear me out. You get yourself a PS5.
I don't have the money for a PS5, Ross.
Well, if you've got money for fancy Dr. Pepper t-shirts and a fancy microphone arm, I think you can swing it a little for a PlayStation 5.
Ross, like everything else I know, this is full of holes, and I've had it for 10 years.
Oh, delicious.
That's not a good example of why I have money.
You've got glasses, don't you? You've got electricity.
I've had these for 2 years as well.
What's the cost of living?
Anyway,
go on.
Anyway, so I'm not buying a PS5. Not now. Maybe if I would come into some money. However, I also never finished, and this is a non-exhaustive list, but we'll just do one or two more. I never played. I played and watched you play the Dead Space games loads, but it's kind of like the reason those games are good is the reason I didn't play them much.
Yes,
is because you move so slowly, and like that lends itself to, and you can talk more about this in a minute, but it lends itself so much to why the game has the because I watched you play loads of it, which isn't something I would generally like recommend, but that is a game you can watch someone play, like
yeah,
and it lends itself to the sort of atmosphere in the game and the tension wonderfully. But it means that when you want to sit down and play it, you have to sit down and play it rather than like Skyrim, where you sit down and you can kind of like be watching TV and texting your mates. And it's fine because you're in a boss fight with a fucking endgame dragon, and it's fine because it's that fucking easy. You can do all of that. Whereas
you have level 100 destruction and the enchanted dragon bone armor, so you're fine.
Yeah, you just put an elastic band around the controller and you just fucking do your own thing.
Oh, but man, Dead Space. Now, the Dead Space trilogy alone, especially 1 and 2, 3 not so much, but the Dead Space IP itself made buying an Xbox One and Game Pass worth it. Those were the first 3 games I downloaded and played, apart from like Halo when I was playing with you guys. It is such a written, choreographed, designed, just an excellent, psychologically denting game.
It's a great example of video game storytelling, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was in a a generation of where it was all shooty in sepia desert land. This was a game that was set in, and obviously there's sort of like massive influences like from horror movies like Alien and whatnot, but like it's a psychological sort of horror thriller game, and basically, and you said like you're moving so slow, but although you do move slow, it feels right. You're wearing this big sort of cumbersome engineering suit, and but you feel the weight of your steps, and I guess it's one of the best games because it leans into some tropes, like, oh, you heard a noise, oh, there's something around the corner, but then it also subverts those tropes as well, and just anything you expect, and it's honestly pants-wettingly good, both out of joy and out of sheer terror, horror, shit yourself, and it's so good. I mean, the replay factor is you need to kick in that nostalgia bit. But I remember playing for the first time, and there's one of the bosses you come across, and you realize everything that you've been doing that's worked up until this point ain't gonna cut it now. And like, I remember spending a good solid 5 to 10 minutes shooting and dismembering a creature whose limbs kept growing back, and my mind was like, "Oh well, this has worked for every other guy I've fought. I just have to keep doing it." And then you get down to the last bullet. And then what Dead Cell's done brilliantly, and again, I am a big fan of this. Resident Evil 4 did it as well, and I live for it. But it's when they do different
bespoke death animations depending on how you die. So instead of just ragdolling.
Alien Isolation was like that as well, and it was like,
was it?
God, I've been killed again. Like, just something really visceral about the death animations, and there was a few, and it's like, and it really made you like jump in your seat. And obviously, we're jaded old like millennials, and we were watching fucking,
Mortal Kombat,
the Friday the 13th when we were 7 years old. Like, we do not shock easily with stuff like this.
What when you say shock easily, I think was sort of like what penetrated that sort of like that dull sort of, I'm used to this, was when you'd see some of the animations where your character is trying to resist. Like there's one thing where he's getting like grabbed by a vine and he's being pulled into this hole, and he basically he's grabbed by one leg, and with his other leg he braces his leg against the hole right before he's been pulled in, and then basically you see it struggling, and next thing it just snaps his leg in half and just pulls him down. And there's another animation where he sort of crawls back out and he's going to make it, and next it just wraps around his throat and you're like, oh my God, this is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying.
I'll have to go back and play Dead Space. It's really, really I've been on my list for ages. But it's just, we're old and tired. We talked about this at the beginning of the podcast.
We've covered that, yeah. So tired.
This is the trouble, is that I kind of need to a lot, like a good 2-hour space of time where I sit and play it and get into it. And once I'm into it, it's all I'll want to do. But it's like I've never really gotten past that initial investment.
That barrier, yeah.
Yeah. And loads of games are like that. But they are all on Game Pass, so I do plan on playing them. Definitely.
What was another one that did it? I mentioned Resident Evil, and of course you said Alien Isolation. The one other thing from Dead Space series as well was Dead Space 2, where you had to basically inject your character in the eye, like with a needle, and you had to guide the needle down, and you're so gently pulling on like the R2 button, and then your character's eye would twitch or move around, and basically you'd fuck it up about 7 times, and again that animation where he struggles against this drill, just scooping out his retina, and then basically he's dead, and you see his tongue just lolling to the side, and you're like, oh my God. Oh my God,
it's amazing.
This is fucking terrible.
It's amazing that a game can have that. Do you know what I mean? That you remember all of this so clearly after presumably haven't played those games thoroughly in years.
Yeah,
I think it's so cool.
It's amazing. But on the other side as well, there is to take it through a depressing route, there is a sort of downside to this, and that's when I think when you go too far or strive too hard towards accuracy and realism, and what I'm referring to here is I think it's with Mortal Kombat 11, where basically a lot of for those of you who don't know, Mortal Kombat is a big thing. One of its main sort of unique things was the finishers or the fatalities, where they do these, insane out of this world sort of executions, depending on the character you had. But basically, they went all out in Mortal Kombat 11. You actually had developers developing PTSD, because think about it. How do you design and animate someone having their spine ripped out through their abdomen? And basically, what they have to do is they have to look at accidents of people getting dismembered or hurt in ways, and they have to watch that over and over, take notes, screenshot things like that, and have reference points. So while we're playing and oh man, that was insane, there's someone who's going to go pouring through hours of people getting hurt and struggling or dying, and that'll do it. That will do PTSD.
Doesn't sound great.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
No. Ugh. Grim.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of any other standout games I never finished.
Let's see. Standout games you never finished.
You probably know some that I've never finished.
Destiny.
We've known each other for that long.
Was it? Well,
Destiny 2. I played Destiny 2. I was playing when you'd stopped playing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But then I dropped off because I think we played it. We played it when loads of us played it, and then I played it a bit afterwards, and I was like, who could care?
I'm so lonely.
Pretty much. Like, there's all these people around, and I can't do any of the really cool. The best bits of Destiny are the raids, and like, I don't know 5 people. I'm not going to go and find a raid where I can join. I'm like, it's because it's the whole thing.
I'll tell you what game I never finished: Mass Effect Andromeda.
I never finished Mass Effect 3 twice. Never finished it twice.
Oh, so how the tables turn?
Sorry, you just reminded me there because I didn't finish Mass Effect Andromeda either because it's shit. I barely finished the prologue. But Mass Effect 3, like Mass Effect 2 is one of my favorite games. This is a game we played when we lived together. When we were boys, we were just getting to know the world. We were playing video games on PlayStation 3s in our houses, old CRT televisions. Mass Effect 2 was amazing. What a phenomenally well put together game. Everything about it is great. And then Mass Effect 3 came out, and it was like, right, so you spent the whole game getting to know all these allies, getting them together in the ship, and you're ready. You're going to fight the collectors. You're going to do all this and do all that. Well, fuck you, do it again. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And so I played about half of it. And Mass Effect, that's the first time. I played about half of it the first time. It's really bloated as well, the game, in terms of like all of the different things you have to interact with. It's no longer you and your ship and you're doing things. You've kind of got to like fucking... It's a whole thing. And I was like, so I didn't finish it. And then they released the remaster, the remastered versions, like... And I didn't get that immediately because I was like...
Well, they retconned the ending, didn't they?
Well, I don't know because I didn't finish it.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that'll be the next thing I talk about.
I'll be getting to this in a second. So I know what the ending is because I've watched YouTube videos and things of it since, but I just couldn't summon the energy to do it. And then I was playing it again, and this one wasn't because I wasn't into it, because I played the first one straight into the second one, straight into the third one, which is honestly like that was their vision of this trilogy, which didn't pan out because of the times that took them to get it out. But like, it's great. It's really, really good. And then I'm playing 3. I'm enjoying it. I know what's going on. And then I went away for 2 weeks to do some work. And I came back and I was like, I don't remember anything that
I have no memory of this place.
So I would have had to boot it up and be like, right, I'm doing this and the collectors are here and I've got to go and do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I just never started the game again when I came back. And I really should because I want to finish it because, you know, it can't be that bad because they have retconned the
remastered trilogy is out now.
That's what I was playing.
Oh, I see.
Because I was playing the remasters because the first game, if you don't play the remaster, is unplayably old. It's so much time spent in that lift because the loading screen in the initial release, the loading screen in number 1 was just you stood in a lift, and it went on for load. I feel like kids these days. We're so old. Kids these days don't understand about loading screens. They don't understand how much of our lives we wasted with loading screens.
Well, I mean, let's not be too hasty because, like, it was the loading screen. Like, I can get a Coke from the fridge now, uninterrupted. Get a Coke, come back, just in time, And you'd always feel that sense.
Do you remember Fallout New Vegas when it first came out, Ross? And like, you got the spinning roulette wheel, and you're like, after about a minute, you're like, has it crashed? There's literally no way to know. There's literally no way to know whether the game has crashed because it'll just keep spinning.
Did I have autosave turned back on? Oh God, please tell me I had autosave turned back on. Oh man. But yeah, I was going to talk about Mass Effect, but I can't remember. But yeah, essentially, I remember. They retconned the ending because I remember I played Mass Effect 3 because you got me into Mass Effect 2, and I was like, how amazing! Played Mass Effect 3. And I got to the ending, and basically it was like, oh, you do this. And I was like, nothing I fucking choose matters. All the decisions that have led me to this point, it's trivial at best, because you have one of 3 outcomes, and of those 3 outcomes, they're pretty much, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And like,
I think you can spoil it, Ross. I don't care, and I don't think the internet cares.
I don't even remember. Like, the universe ends, and you start again. You die. You can die and save and bullshit.
It's one of these things where they promised this trilogy of like, because when the second one came out, the first one was an Xbox exclusive, so we had it on the PlayStation. When the second one came out on PlayStation, because they always said you're going to have this thing where your decisions from all 3 games will culminate in the end of the trilogy, so you can, have decisions you made in 1 have an impact on what happens in 3. And because they wanted this to happen, when the second one was released, you could do like a storybook version of like a cartoon version of the first one, where
the comic,
you basically like an interactive story where that basically like filled in your previous save that you would have on Xbox.
Yes.
And then remastered version, obviously you can just port your save straight into the game and then the next game, etc. But like you said, by the third one, this is why I never finished it. It just felt like, well, no, fuck you. We're going to do the second game again, but there's a war now. It's like, I've just done all of this. Please.
This time, guys, it's personal. Like, really? No, it's not. Not at all. But fuck you.
And all of your crew fuck off. All of your crew fuck off. And you can't get any of them back. And it's like,
yeah.
Why couldn't you just introduce new characters, killed some off perhaps based on choices? Like that would have been cool, but no. Actually, maybe I think that's because in the second one, like a lot of your crew can die in the ending if you fuck it up.
Yes, exactly.
So maybe that's why they had to do that, and it wasn't workable.
All of them can die.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to go to some concerted effort to make sure they all die, but all of them can die.
You have to do some concerted effort to make sure none of them die as well, though.
Oh man, yeah, it's bollock.
It's fine. Anyway, we've talked long enough about Mass Effect, and maybe one day I'll finish it and we can do a podcast about the ending, because then I'll know what the ending is. And then I can tell you what the ending is, and you'll remember.
I tell you what. Like a game that Mass Effect Andromeda. Just while we're on the topic of Mass Effect, it was such a garbage fucking game, and this was, in my opinion, like this is the epitome of like the road that like microtransactions lead us to. When you have a single player game and you can upgrade weapons faster or unlock sort of weapon upgrades by paying real money. And I remember playing this, and I played it for about 2 hours, and I was like, I've no idea what's going on. I don't care about anything. And it was the first and last game that I pre-ordered digitally, because I was like, Mass Effect Andromeda, hells yes, I'm going to play this at midnight, just like the old days playing this. And I played it for half an hour. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just old and tired. I'll play it tomorrow. And I was like, this is fucking garbage. It was just horrible.
They cocked it, and it's just not fun. And the combat in Mass Effect was always fun, and it's not fun. And that's what they really fucked up. And because obviously we didn't play enough of it to get the story or anything like that. It's just the combat is not satisfying, and that is your game.
Right.
That's what you're selling.
But this is when, as well, like they diverted all I'm talking 90 to 95% of funds and resources from Mass Effect to Anthem, which was going to be their like EA's answer to Destiny.
Remember Anthem? Yeah,
yeah, me neither. Good night, everybody. But yeah. And that's another thing as well, like games like that, they're like live service. Like some games do it well, some games do it right. Of course, World of Warcraft is the epitome. Destiny, in my opinion, shaky start, finish strong. Destiny 2, good start, finished a bit shaky, but still decent. It's still going.
Elder Scrolls, for what it's worth, seems to have I've known nothing about it other than the 10 minutes I played of it. It seems to have a really loyal fan base. It seems to be... It's still going. People are still playing it. They're still releasing stuff for it.
Fair enough. I mean, Fallout 76, I have certain feelings on that, and we'll move on. But
we could do a whole episode on why MMOs aren't for us because we're old as fuck.
Yeah. Well, I think it's yeah. Well, let's say that for another episode. But I think like when you look at your games like your Anthems and your Marvel's Avengers, and I remember like when Anthem got announced, I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. And then I remembered then like when Marvel's Avengers got announced, and I just went, this is going to be trash. And everyone's like, no, oh my God, I'm going to be Iron Man. This is going to be trash. And it was.
They've never made a good video game adaptation of a film, like, ever.
Incorrect. PS2's Enter the Matrix. Ooh. What a game.
I'll have to take your word on that one, Ross.
Fuck you young.
No. I don't mean to say it's bad. I'm just saying I've not played it.
It's so good.
I've got a PS3, but not the kind of PS3 you can play PS2 games on, or do I?
I tell you what,
Can you play PS2 games on PS3? Is it PS1 games?
If you have the very original PS3, you can.
No, I don't have that.
No. And I tell you what, another good one is, although it's not like an adaptation, it's more of like a licensed game. But Scarface: The World Is Yours, essentially GTA clone. Amazing game. Loved it.
I'm trying to think. There must be games that were adapted that were fun. I remember playing. There was a great DuckTales game on the Sega, and a really good Mickey Mouse game as well. There were some decent Disney games that were adapted, but I can't think of anything more modern. I mean, Tomb Raider is one of these things where it's like it was a game, then it was a film, then it was a game, then it was a film, then it was a game. It's impossible to keep track.
Yeah.
Again, whole episode we could do on the Tomb Raider franchise.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, with the recent Tomb Raider sort of game franchise reboot, I was all for it until it's like, because there was Tomb Raider, and then like, okay, cool, and and then it was like Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then you're like, oh, this, and like it was marketed as this is where Lara Croft learns to be the Tomb Raider, and then it was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Lara Croft's journey to become the Tomb. I was like, well, I thought the last game was the journey, and then like the latest one, Tomb Raider, fucking Reloaded, Lara Croft on her journey to become. Well, which is it? When does she become the Tomb Raider? At some point, the first game.
I remember enjoying the first two of those. I think I played. I don't think I played the third one. I remember really enjoying them. But I get what you mean. Kind of like can we stop doing origin stories? But it's the typical executive issue where like they look at a product, a film, a TV show, a game, whatever, and they say this was really successful. Let's do that again.
Do it again.
You're like, oh, but shouldn't we maybe like evolve the franchise so our fans don't get bored and we can.
You're fired. Do it again.
Oh, can we not make like a good game then? We have a really good combat system. Really make it shine. We spend a bit more money perhaps, and that will get us a good series that will go on and on.
Fired. Do it again. Honestly, it's like that meme, of like that like boardroom and the angry CEO is like, "What are we gonna do?" And it's that guy leaning on one hand. Why don't we just like do something new? And he's thrown out of the building, like this high rise. That's game design right there.
Yeah, it's quite something. This has been fun talking about reminiscing basically.
Yeah,
we should definitely do this again.
I could literally just write down like a list of video games and go, "This is what I'm going to talk about this week." And we could go on. We could get a solid 50 minutes out of it.
Well, sometimes it's beneficial things. Like I'm going to maybe check out Elden Ring if it's cheap, which it won't be, so I won't.
I tell you what you should check out. Now it's a bit old. It's last generation, but we were talking about doing something with zombie movies. We can maybe do that next week. But I'm telling you, Dying Light, one of the best zombie games I've ever played, hands down. I don't know about the sequel. I want to play the sequel. Haven't bought it yet. But Dying Light was such a delight. I've played and finished that game, I'd say, about 7-8 times. And that's like for games from last generation. Do you know what I mean? Games from last generation, you maybe play once, twice max. I could easily play this game 6-7 times, and you just get such enjoyment out of it. It's essentially parkour Dead Rising. Because you craft all these different weapons, and it's Assassin's Creed meets Dead Rising. It's amazing.
That would be an improvement because Dead Rising is very much like the slow, lumbering, anti-parkour game.
But it's so good because it's so satisfying because, like, in the world of like most video game, like zombie video games, you'll have like weapons, and if you get a gun does a certain amount of damage. In this game, you have your melee weapons, that's your bread and butter. But if you manage to get a gun, if you headshot a zombie, you'll kill him, no problem. But you know what I mean. You've got to properly aim, and there's recoil, and there's like 100 of the zombies coming for you, brother. It is such a good game, and then the different zombies. Oh man, I cannot wait. You know what? Play Dying Light, and let's do a review of Dying Light because that'll be a fucking awesome episode.
Well, let's do that then.
Done. All right, night everybody. Peace out. Am I pressing stop there?